The Mona Lisa. Bewitching, seductive, world famous. In the minds of millions, she is the ultimate work of art, endlessly photographed and admired. Yet behind the enigmatic smile, she remains a mystery. Who was she? Why was she painted? And what has made her the world's most famous painting? After 500 years in the spotlight, the Mona Lisa is finally giving up her secrets. Centuries-old documents are at last revealing long-forgotten truths. This is wonderful. Ooh, I've got a shiver down my spine. State-of-the-art technology is taking us beneath the painted surface to decode astonishing new evidence. That's extraordinary. Wow, that's quite a big discovery, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
This investigation, the first full forensic examination of the latest discoveries, takes me round the world in the hunt for the truth about Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece, with exclusive access and some extraordinary encounters.
The first impression when I came in was, I did well not to jump backwards in shock.
These revelations will change everything we thought we knew about history's most enigmatic work of art.
That's great. So we just made a new discovery.
And unlocked the secrets of the Mona Lisa. All of this together marks an extraordinary moment in the history of art. But more than that, this is quite simply one of the stories of the century. "500 years ago, a man painted a woman. The man was Leonardo da Vinci, artist, inventor, genius. And the result of his work was the inscrutable portrait we now know as the Mona Lisa. It's a masterpiece, and one of the few works he actually finished." So what draws us to the Mona Lisa? She's not a famous monarch or a legendary historical figure. We know hardly anything about her. So what is it about this picture that's gripped the human imagination for so many centuries? I want to begin my investigation by comparing notes with a detective who's been on the case for more than 30 years. One of the world's leading experts on Leonardo da Vinci, Oxford professor Martin Kemp has spent much of his life obsessed by the mystery of the Mona Lisa.
What do you think is the key to the Mona Lisa's extraordinary stature as, without doubt, the world's most famous painting?
Well, there has to be something inherent in the picture. Some things are famous for being famous, and we live in an age of celebrity, and lots of celebrities are famous for being famous, but they're not going to last. This has gone on for ages. It is just extraordinary. And you've got this sense of something which is beyond pigment and beyond a good likeness and being beyond a face, and it just has that totally uncanny living presence. It's very daring at the time for a woman in a portrait to look at you. You know, women's portraits simply didn't do that. And I think the ambiguity, the tease, the visual tease is something that Leonardo absolutely cultivated.
Look at the Mona Lisa, and you can't help feeling there's more going on than meets the eye. If her teasing smile's a question mark, the painting's a riddle. What makes a human being live and breathe? What forces govern the world we live in? Leonardo thought about these questions as deeply as anyone. And behind this breathtakingly lifelike image lay years of investigation into spheres of knowledge like geology and anatomy, some of which were forbidden by the church. Tantalizing evidence for the research that went into the Mona Lisa lies hidden in Windsor Castle. Amongst the gems of the royal collection is an intriguing clue to the genesis of the portrait. A page from what might be called the real Da Vinci Code.
If you want to see or have some sense of just how much work there was behind the surface of the picture, then this is a great place to start. It's a sheet of drawings by Leonardo's own hand. And what does it contain in faint outline? Look here. It's a bit like the Cheshire Cat. It's the Mona Lisa's smile without the Mona Lisa attached. It may well have been Leonardo's first gropings towards his idea for the painting. It's a series of studies of the human mouth, the motions of the mouth, how the mouth puckers, how the mouth bares its teeth. You have a very strong sense that for Leonardo, every picture is a kind of encyclopedia entry. And this is just that part of it, dealing with the mouth. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
The Mona Lisa is the work into which Leonardo poured everything he knew about humanity and the world that surrounds us, with its ceaseless play of light and shade. But there's a mystery there too, and it's staring us in the face. Who is the woman with the enigmatic smile?
It's a question that has fueled all kinds of speculation, ranging from the ingenious to the crackpot. She's a pregnant mother-to-be. She's a prostitute. She's even a man in drag.
But if you look beyond the theories, there are clues to her true identity. Florence, 1500. After many years away, Leonardo da Vinci has returned to the city of his youth. He's come back to work on ambitious military projects for powerful men. He says he's too busy to paint portraits of wealthy aristocrats who clamour after him. Yet according to one writer, Leonardo somehow finds time to paint the portrait not of a noblewoman, but of a humble merchant's wife called Lisa.
It was here that Leonardo da Vinci began the most famous painting in the world. And it was here that Giorgio Vasari, the inventor of the very idea of the Renaissance, the author of the very first book about the Renaissance, produced Exhibit A in the case of the Mona Lisa, the very first account of the painting. Who was she? She was the wife of Francesco del Giocondo, a rich merchant. He commissioned Leonardo to create her portrait, and Leonardo responded with a picture, says Vasari, so miraculously lifelike that it seems to be made of flesh, not paint. Leonardo, he says, wanted to avoid the melancholy that dominates so many other portraits, so he employed musicians, entertainers, buffoons to keep her amused. So there you have it, the wife of Francesco del Giocondo, and the smile caused by entertainers hired by the artist. An open and shut case. Or is it?
How can we be sure that Vasari was right and that Leonardo did indeed paint Lisa del Giocondo? After all, Vasari wrote his account 30 years after Leonardo's death. And although he did his homework here in Florence, he never disclosed his sources. So could it just be hearsay? Some inaccurate local legend? For centuries, there was no way of telling. Then, suddenly, new evidence emerged from a completely unexpected source.
In 2006, a research scholar working in the University Library of Heidelberg turned up this. What it is a page from a copy of Cicero, the ancient Roman author, a book that was once owned here in Florence by a man called Agostino Vespucci. And not only does it have Cicero's text, but it's got Vespucci's commentaries. And this particular passage is crucial because in it, Cicero is discussing Apelles, the ancient Greek artist. And his remarks prompt Vespucci to make his own note, his marginal note. And what he writes is a kind of bombshell in the history of Leonardo's studies. He says, Apelles, he did just the same thing as Leonardo in his portrait of Lisa del Giocondo. And best of all, there's a date, October 1503. So this was written almost immediately after Vespucci must have seen the portrait of Lisa del Giocondo in Leonardo da Vinci's workshop. This is gold dust, and it proves that Vasari was definitely right in at least one sense all along. Leonardo definitely did paint a portrait of Lisa del Giocondo.
There you have it. Independent testimony from a man in Florence in 1503 who probably saw the picture still wet on the artist's easel. But now there's another question. Why did Leonardo paint Lisa? When the great and powerful couldn't coax a picture from him, why agree to paint this obscure woman? One man has made it his life's work to uncover forgotten secrets about Lisa. Giuseppe Palanti has found new details in the city archive. Historical dynamite. Beginning with the house where Lisa, daughter of the Gherardinis, was born.
On this street, this is the street where the Mona Lisa once lived.
Yes, Lisa lived in the dark and narrow street of Florence.
What was her family background?
La maggior parte delle famiglie erano piccoli artigiani.
So they were small work, as it were, labourers. So, allora non è una grande donna.
No, dove è nata Lisa era un'antica bottega per la lavorazione della lana che fu trasformata in abitazione e dà un'idea di una famiglia che non ha grandi ricchezze, perché i Gherardini non ebbero mai una casa propria a Firenze.
They never had their own house in Florence.
Giuseppe's discoveries have deepened the mystery. If Lisa's origins were so humble, why did the notoriously choosy Leonardo consent to paint her? In another part of town, Giuseppe believes he's found the answer.
Siamo qui per vedere la casa, il luogo dove Lisa ha incontrato Francesco del Giocondo e ha sposato Francesco del Giocondo. The place is there. It is important for another reason, because in front of this building lived Ser Piero, Leonardo's father.
Well, hang on, say that again. Lisa Gherardini was living here at the time.
Yes.
Leonardo da Vinci's father was living there.
Yes, penso che Leonardo sia stato dal babbo a trovare il babbo, per cui la famiglia di Leonardo da Vinci viveva quasi di fronte alla casa di Mona Lisa.
Oh, incredible!
C'è un'altra connessione, un altro collegamento. Francesco del Giocondo era cliente di Ser Piero. Ser Piero era uno dei più influenti e importanti notai di Firenze.
So you're saying that Francesco del Giocondo, the merchant, he was actually a client of Leonardo's father?
Yes.
Well, this is all new.
Yes.
This is all new.
For the first time, we have a concrete connection between Leonardo and Lisa. Not only were they neighbors, their families did business together. And there's more. Giuseppe tells me that according to police records of the time, Francesco had a bit of a reputation. Described as garroso, meaning swaggering, he wasn't just a merchant on the rise, but an aggressive deal-maker who'd stop at almost nothing to get his way. Maybe this is the real reason Leonardo agreed to paint his wife. Maybe Francesco made him an offer he couldn't refuse. In the parish church of San Lorenzo, there's another crucial piece of evidence. Something that had slipped through the net of history until just a few years ago, when Giuseppe found it. The record of Mona Lisa's death.
wonderful thing. The handwriting isn't very easy to follow.